Hey everyone, this is Jesse from Janjo. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Egyptian god cards, and more specifically, Joey's Egyptian god card.
Duel sauce, extra sauce. Hit that subscribe.
So I just want to say, if you haven't checked out my Patreon or my merch, definitely check that out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider to do so and share this video if you want to see more stuff like this one. Also, like the video because, you know, being nice is cool. Want to support Janjo? Get your name in videos or request content for the channel? Then check out my Patreon for exclusive perks, content, and stretch goals. Joey's Egyptian god card. This is a topic I've wanted to talk about. I've had a lot of stuff on my plate, but I figured this would be the best time to get to it. Just the idea popped, and I just gotta start running. Wait. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, because that helps me upload more videos and know that you like content like this. So the Egyptian god cards are some of the most recognizable cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! They are the boss monsters. They are the big bad boys. Sure, we've had plenty of powerful cards in the past. Exodia, Dark Magician, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Toon World. But these were on a whole other level. Those cards were super. This is Supra. Tenacious D reference. So Joey never had a god card. The three god cards belong to, initially, Merrick and Ishizu, the grave keepers of the Pharaoh's Tomb of Egypt. And when it came time for Ishizu to want to stop Merrick and gather all the god cards and yada yada yada, she gave Obelisk to Kaiba, which fits for his character. Kaiba is a very egotistical, power-hungry character, and Obelisk, the god of the obelisk, also known as the Tormentor, has that inherent huge power, 4K Fists of Fury. And so when Kaiba got a hold of that, his ego just skyrocketed through the roof, more than Kaiba Core's stock, and thus came Battle City. Suddenly Kaiba had this pretty much easily summonable monster, akin to the power of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, but easier to get out in many ways, and more game-ending in many more ways. And this would lead to Merrick coming to Battle City. He would showcase Slifer the Sky Dragon in Strings deck, in which Yugi would obtain Slifer the Sky Dragon. This would be a card that really fit Yugi in the sense that it required a bit more strategy. It was still a relatively game-ender card, well, at least more depending on how much cards you had in your hand. But he had the cards. Typically, he knew when to summon it. It was more of a strategical card. It fit his gameplay better. And then you had Merrick with the Winged Dragon Ra, which was just absurd power, fitting a story arc villain with a bunch of weird, wonky powers that, of course, only the bad guy knows how to use, and it just seemed absurd in that way. And Joey was kind of left in the dust. He is one of the main characters in the series. Sure, he doesn't get as much love as Yugi does, but in the context of the duel monsters, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist arcs, the Duel's Kingdom and Battle City, that was also partially his arc. He had a lot of stock into it. He had a lot of motive. So it was always kind of shitty he never got his own Egyptian god card. Well, you only have 3. There's not 4. But he did kind of get his own. And I'm sure a lot of you already know what I'm talking about. During his duel with Merrick, he busted out Gilford the Lightning. Gilfordo the Lightning! Yeah, that card. This card was very similar to different god cards. It was a very powerful monster with a very powerful effect that did require, well, didn't require, but it required to tribute 3 monsters to gain its effect, similar to the god cards, where you needed 3 tributes, which was very specific, opposed to the other monsters, opposed to monsters like Dark Magician or Janjo. you need 3 tributes to destroy all of your opponent's monsters on the field, which was a crazy effect, especially for the anime when Joey, most of his monsters were a lot of kind of vanilla monsters in a lot of ways. Sure, he had other cards he gained, like Janjo, but other cards he gained, like Legendary Fisherman or Insect Queen, weren't quite as useful in that deck environment. So with Gilford the Lightning, you had similar cards to that in the game of Yugioh. You had Moisture Creature, which when tributing 3 monsters, it destroys all spells and traps. It was the Harpy Feathers Duster. And then you had Beast King Barbaros, which was like the Raw, and that one destroyed all cards that your opponent controls. So these were like the 3 New Age Egyptian god cards in a sort. The Domino City god cards, you could say. Gilford the Lightning, Moisture Creature, and Beast King Barbaros. But we're not talking about those cards, because those weren't in the anime. Even the Moisture Creature did pop up in Ishizu's Speed Duel deck in the Battle City box, so that's kind of interesting. So it really, Gilford really fits Joey in a lot of ways, because Joey has always used warrior monsters. That was his motif from the beginning. He had a bunch of vanilla warrior monsters. His main card was Flame Swordsman. Sure, he gained the Red Eyes Black Dragon, but while that was the strongest card in his deck, you could tell his favorite monster was the Flame Swordsman, as seen in the anime exclusive Yugi vs. Bakura duel on Duelist Kingdom. That was the card that he decided to use. Of course, he didn't have Red Eyes back then, but I assume he would probably still use the Flame Swordsman because that's a warrior. It represented him. The fires of passion eventually evolved to the lightnings of victory, or so he would have thought. So it does fit that we continue this train, that it wasn't just another dragon, some sort of Red Eyes card. Though it would have been cool if it was some sort of evolved Red Eyes monster. If they gave Meteor Black Dragon some crazier effect, maybe that could have been the way they could have gone. But Gilford the Lightning, it still fits Joey in a lot of ways. And it works, that it is not quite as powerful as Obelisk the Tormentor, just like how Red Eyes Black Dragon is not as powerful as the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So you gotta have to look at it in that way. When you look at the god cards themselves, the Obelisk, he represents light and dark. This fits kind of Kaiba's internal duality with his family pride and his ego, but then you got like Mokuba. And then you got Slifer, which represents good and evil, which is like Yugi and Yami Yugi, or at least how Yami Yugi used to be. And then you got Ra, which was heaven and earth, which is like Merrick is kind of crazy and kind of, you're a bit of a maniac kind of guy wanting all this power for yourself. But Joey has, with the exception of when he was first introduced in the manga, where he was kind of like a bully, he always has been inherently innocent. He's always been kind of that more innocent-like character, more of a pure good, with a bit of an edge. Yeah. But it always kind of fits his nature. So it would be kind of weird to throw one of the already existing Egyptian god cards in his way. Now, if you had to have a god card for Joey, what would it be? Now, I have 2 thoughts for this. One would be that, let's say Yugi had all the god cards, and Joey's like, hey, can I borrow one for a tournament? Yugi would probably be like, okay. Yugi's a nice guy. What can I say? He gave him Time Wizard, which, very useful. But he would not give him Ra, because as we know, as Odeon has showed, you can't just summon Ra. It's very particular. So that leads the other god cards, Slifer and Obelisk. I feel like, even though Yugi has more of a connection to Slifer, I think that would be the same reason why he would give Joey Slifer the Sky Dragon. Because Obelisk is straight up power, and that's never really been Joey's motif. Joey has always been the, you know, he has red eyes, he has the potential, and what has more potential than Slifer the Sky Dragon with having the cards in your hand to boost up his attack. It fits perfectly for Joey. I can definitely see Yugi keeping Obelisk more of like a haha 1-2 punch kind of thing, kind of like he did with Slifer when he fought against Bakura in Battle City. So I definitely think that Joey would have Slifer if he had to have an Egyptian God card. But on the other side, that I think is more likable, more doable, is that there actually is another Egyptian God card out there that's not technically an Egyptian God card, and I'm talking about Horus. Yeah, we have the Egyptian God cards. We got the God of the Obelisk. We got Slifer, which represents Osiris, and then we got Ra, the winged dragon Ra. It's more, a lot of these names are more literal if you read the manga as I'm reading through, which I'm sure you'll probably notice as I reference more manga material. But Horus was always that kind of weird one. Like, Horus is an Egyptian god in the real world. That is an actual thing, but he was never one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Egyptian god cards, which I always thought was kind of silly that they never decided to make like a secret fourth one or something. I mean, there was Herakti, which was a fusion, but that, you know, that's a fusion. But Horus kind of fits that bill in a lot of ways, like how I mentioned with Gilford having similar powers or similar requirements as a god card, and kind of representing that in the story arc. So Horus the Black Flame Dragon fits that bill in a lot of requirements too. Not so much that he needs the tributes, but he is an Egyptian god, and it is the kind of theory of progression of potential, starting with the was level 3 or 4? I think it was 4. It was like 4, 6, and then 8. 8 would be like the big boss monster. So that would be strategy for Joey to use. He would have that potential of leveling up this monster to god powers where it just negates all spells. And in duel monsters, that would be very powerful when characters' back row cards are very powerful in a lot of ways, and to just straight out negate them, to negate cards like Monster Reborn, Polymerization, Enemy Controller, that kind of stuff. That would be absolutely insane for Joey to have, and that really fits the bill of having a god card that isn't a god card. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I always felt like Horus the Black Flame Dragon, I think that really fits the bill for Joey, because it is a dragon, much like his Red Eyes Black Dragon. Red Eyes the Black Dragon, Horus the Black Flame Dragon. It makes sense. They could have done some cool fusion with this. Maybe one day you could say Red Eyes the Black Flame Dragon. Red Eyes the Black Flame Black Dragon. Whoa, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely insane. That's probably all I gotta say about Joey's God card. I think it's an interesting topic to think about that no one has really talked about. And I'm actually kind of amazed I've gone this long talking about it. But definitely let me know what you think. What do you think about a lot of the ideas and the concepts behind it? I think it'd be cool to actually design a Joey God card one of these days. Maybe if I do a card designing video or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, let me know what you think about this video. If you want to see more discussions like this one, what discussions you would like me to talk about. Again, check out my Patreon and my merch for all that cool stuff to support me further. And until I see you all next time, have a wonderful day.